groovy cats and chicks. It's me, Rock Savage, the world's most dangerous filmmaker, and I'm back with some more groovy stuff going on here. In the Savage Mansion, I am here in the media room of the Mansion, which I will be happy to show you and give you a quick tour. If I did do a tour of this before, I guarantee you there's been some new additions, or should I say I discovered, found a box of my toys I was looking for. You know, when you move to a new place, you just stuff gets misplaced and all, but I found them. It's living here in beautiful West Virginia, out in the middle of nowhere. I love it. I love it. What can I tell you? But anyway, like I said, been here for now what, 2, 3 years? Yeah, still making wonderful discoveries. Discoveries. As you know, it's a very supernatural place, so I dig it. I really dig it. Well, anyway, so that being said, um, that being said, I got a few announcements to make before we go on here. First of all, um, I'm going to rant a little here about artificial intelligence. I know a lot of YouTube channels are using artificial intelligence, and I am not pleased, and I don't support those channels, and I usually click and say don't recommend channels because this is ridiculous. I mean, some people are using it with these horrible robotic voices, and recently I was very disappointed in Count Gordeval. Now I'm still going to make an exception and support his channel as long as he doesn't overuse the AI. But I was very disappointed. He made an AI image of himself, which was as we call, the uncanny valley. It looked kind of creepy, so I already knew something was up, and then he announced that he used AI for it. I wasn't surprised. It didn't look right. And here's what's bizarre. If you're going to make an AI image of yourself, why not pick the younger version of yourself? The Count's been around since the 70s, and maybe you should pick his 70s version of himself. I know I would pick a younger version of myself if I were to replace myself with artificial intelligence, which I will not do because I think artificial intelligence should be kept far away from any art form. If you use AI to make a film, you're not really a filmmaker. If you use AI to write a book, you are not a writer. Period. Oh, and if you use AI to do a painting, you're not an artist. Period. Case closed. End of story. There's no debating this. You have allowed a computer to take over. You have no imagination and no talent. Everything that's worth doing requires some sort of skill level. You either have talent, or if you don't have talent, you developed your talent and you work hard for it. AI is pretty much going to guarantee that nothing but crap will be made by people with little or no imagination. Anyway, that's my rant about that. I'm very displeased with the whole artificial intelligence crap. And I just wanted to let you know that the Savage Film Group, as long as I continue to make films and my health is still fine, which it is, I will continue to make movies with no CGI and no artificial intelligence. So you can count on that from the Savage Film Group. All made with human design. Period. Now, let's talk about the main subject of this, and plus I have another announcement to make, which is very groovy. But right now I'd like to talk about movie soundtracks. As you know, soundtracks are very important to movies. They are iconic in themselves. The James Bond theme is iconic. The movie theme of the James Bond movie is also iconic. Like the song Live and Let Die by Paul McCartney, the ex-Beatle, is a very iconic song. Live and Let Die was a hit. It was on the radio forever. And of course, what else was a great hit? Well, the James Bond theme itself. On television, you have theme music, the soundtracks that are fantastic. The theme from SWAT, the theme from Mission Impossible, the series, and the theme from, of course, Starsky and Hutch, Hawaii Five-O, Batman, of course, the original Batman 66 theme music, and countless of sci-fi movies that had some great music. Recently, people talking about Flash Gordon again. Flash Gordon had a great soundtrack by Queen. So soundtracks are important and a bit iconic, and you can't really, you really need a good soundtrack. And advice to independent filmmakers out there: you need an original soundtrack. You can use library music, and that's not too bad if you know where to get it. But I really would recommend, find a local band, local musicians, and see if maybe they'll write an original soundtrack for you. I've had original uh, music written for my movies. Mummy of Gorgor, I had the great Rob Lippert, who was in a local band back in Virginia, well, the Maryland, D.C., Virginia area. He lived in Virginia, but his band went to all these sleazy nightclubs in D.C. It was called Psychodrama, and they were very abrasive. And when he broke away from that band, because it wasn't really his band, but when he broke away from it, he produced some really great music, and he also produced music for the movie I made, Mummy of Gorgor, the Mummy of Gorgor theme, and of course we even did a rock video, the theme for the villain King Pharaoh, which is a very catchy tune, and so we did that, and then my friend, the great late Marvin Kennedy, uh, did theme music for each one of the characters that we have in our anthology. He did a theme music for Harry Gross, the Mod Mutilator, Rex Jones, and the character he played, Dr. Anubis. So, very talented individual, passed away, really sad. Um, I I still plan to use his music as the theme music for each character. However, I am here to announce that for the main title, when the anthology, let me tell you how I put together my anthologies. Okay, I make each short film separately, and I do screen them. Usually, hope Count Gore will, and I hope it's the real Count Gore, not that AI generated monstrosity. The real Count Gore, hopefully, will host it on his web program, on his YouTube channel, and that'll be great because that's what he's done before with all of our shorts. And when all the shorts are finished, we put it together in one movie, and it's going to have a theme music, and probably we'll use it also throughout some of these shorts. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that, but I've already been scanning the wonderful music from this group, Vamp Camp, which of course is the lead singer is R. Sterling from Atomic Snack Bar, who I mentioned a while back and left a link. I am going to leave a link this time to the Vamp Star website. Did I say Vamp Star or Vamp Camp? Vamp Camp is something else. Vamp Star is the name of the band that will have their music featured in our next anthology. And I'm very grateful to Mr. Sterling there for helping us out. So I'm overwhelmed. He sent so much. He sent me so many downloads that it's overwhelming to try to figure out which is going to be the main theme of the anthology. Fortunately, I have 4 or 3 films to make before I make that decision final. So I'll have plenty of time to do that. So that'll be great. Now that we talked about soundtracks and my future plans for the soundtracks, I want to talk to you, and I am going to get back to soundtracks. I'm going to show you some classic soundtrack albums I have in my collection and give you a quick tour of the media room. My next announcement is this. The movie, if you go to my website, you'll see a movie called Max Blood, Vampire Spy, which, by the way, speaking of soundtracks, Rob Lippert did the theme music for that, and very cool sounding music. Even had a little bit of wah-wah pedal, which I like with my electric guitar there. Did a great job. Did a terrific job. And he was very that music that he was very instrumental in working on the soundtrack of that and the post-production of that film. It's before I met my friend Marvin. Rob, you say, well, why didn't Rob stay on? Well, Rob moved all the way. I was still in Maryland, and he moved all the way to Arizona to get away from live out in the desert or near the desert where he got lots of sunshine and felt much better than the depressing city life near being near Washington D.C., which is that area is becoming more of a cesspool every day. We don't talk about that anymore. So anyway, a lot of us have gotten away from that area. So anyway, um, the movie Max Blood, we made it in 1993 or 94. I think we started in 93, finished it in 94. It's gotten a new life. Apparently, this gentleman that became a fan of my films is going to be showing them at a theater, an art theater, an art center in downtown Philadelphia. I'm going to leave a link to that also for any of you living in Philadelphia or near Philadelphia. And on April 14th, doors open at 7 o'clock. There will be a theatrical showing of my film, Max Blood, Vampire Spy. And if you're in town, check it out. I think you'll dig it. I will personally be there. I will be in Philadelphia making a personal appearance there. And yes, I will have copies of my films to sell there. So if you're in the Philly area, check it out. You know, you can hang out there. I'll talk to as many people as I can. It's great. I mean, I'm blown away. I thought people forgot about me, but apparently not. So there you go. So that's life is full of surprises. So there we are. So now, without further ado, let's do a tour of the media room, which will be a quick tour, and then I'm going to show you some classic soundtrack albums I think you're going to dig. So let's go and do that right now. Okay, well, as you can see, I'm gonna do a little bit of panning here. You'll see some interesting. There's my stereo setup. It's got CDs and cassettes and of course vinyl, classic vinyl. There you see, it's a very groovy layout. There's a poster with Kiss and with the Back Doors, which was a Doors tribute band that played at the college, at the PG Community College in Largo, Maryland, and that's their poster there. They were called the Back Doors, and they had a Jim Morrison look-alike. The rest of the band didn't look like them, but they sounded like them, and that's what was really important. Here, let's get a little close-up there so you can check it out. There we go. And there you go. And there's another, that's a Kiss poster from a video store. I used to manage a video store in the early 80s, and they released on VHS Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, one of my favorite. I think it's the best rock and roll movie ever made. I also like, my number two, I considered the Ramones, Rock and Roll High School. And, of course, I enjoy the Beatles movies as well. But definitely Kiss Meets the Phantom is the best one. Best plot and everything. And, of course, that's the return of Kiss. That's a concert photo. Got an Elvis Presley calendar. And what's down there? Let's take a peek. Oh, my goodness, there's my amplifier. Yes, I do occasionally dabble in electric guitar. I don't play that bad, but I don't play that good either. Not enough to play on a soundtrack. I only did that once in my movie, Hard Boiled Heroes. I played a wah-wah guitar for a psychedelic scene that was in there. And I didn't do too bad, but I wouldn't do a whole soundtrack. Trust me on that one. I can play, the only song I can play, I can play some good, make up some crap. Well, not crap. I can make up some stuff, and then I can't play it again because I won't remember what I played. But the one song I can play is Dirty Water by the Standells, and that's pretty much it. Anyway, look at this. This proves that West Virginia is haunted. I swear I did not put George like that. Every time I come in here, I separate George and Betty Boop. I come back in here, and he's spanking her again. Oh, I tell you, I don't know. Well, West Virginia is a very haunted place, so what can I say? I think we do have ghosts here. That's some original artwork of Alvin and the Chipmunks. Up there, my wife is a big fan of Devo. That's a Devo poster. Yeah, she's a big fan of Devo. She's an 80s girl. What can I tell you? I'm a 70s and 60s guy, but she's an 80s girl. And let's get a little wide. There's a Kiss Love Gun poster. Yep. And move back here, and you'll see something very interesting here. That's an autographed picture I got when I met Ace Frehley in Steeltown near Baltimore, Maryland. Not in Baltimore, but near Baltimore, in the suburbs of Baltimore. And that was pretty cool. I'm going to move that a little bit here. Yeah, it's okay. We're doing the punk rock thing today. I don't like how that light is shining on it from above. But anyway, there's a poster from the place called Over the Edge, where a postcard where I met Ace. Unfortunately, that place is gone. Like a lot of good things are gone. It's sad. There's nothing fun left in Maryland. I think I don't know. There's probably a few things, but not too many. Now there's a poster I picked up of the Monkees, and that picture was taken in '67. Speaking of the Monkees, let's see if we can get a close up here. Oh, I can't see it too well. That's me and Davy Jones, and that's there I am with the electric guitar, entertaining some kids. I did that as a favor for my friend that's a school teacher. Yeah, and so we got a poster here of Rock and Roll High School. Like I said, my second favorite. Remote. Oh, there's another Kiss poster. That's a black light poster there. Well, as you can see, I have a groovy lava lamp there. Should have turned it on for here, but anyway. Speaking. Oh, and there's the Beatles from Yellow Submarine. We're going to cut to a close up here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's the Yellow Submarine action figures. And of course, there's the light switch. And look, there's a special guest star, Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees. Yay! Yeah, they had these action figures called Monkey Babies, which were weird. And it was after the show was canceled, but it was running in syndication, and the Monkees were still had a contract to not only promote the show, but continue to make albums after the show was canceled. Peter Tork was very foolish, and he wasn't too smart in real life, despite the fact of being college educated. He lost all his money because he allowed a lot of freeloading hippies into his mansion. And also, poor Peter, I have to say, well, here I'm going to show you this cool stuff here. Yeah, poor Peter unfortunately lost all his money. And however, fortunately, he did have a skill to fall back. He became a music teacher. And but the reason I'm telling you all this is the Monkees Babies came out after the show was canceled, and Pete was foolishly said he had to pay money to get out of his contract. He didn't want to be a monkey anymore, which he should have stayed there. What happened, of course, was very interesting. Was very, very interesting. When they released the Monkey Babies, they only released 3 of the Monkees, the ones that were still under contract, which was Davy, Mickey, and Mike. There was no Peter Monkey Babies. And that's why a lot of people are frustrated. They keep looking for Peter, and he just doesn't exist in that form. Well, he does exist, but he didn't exist in, action figure because he left the band. Okay, we got some action figures here. They're real interesting. This is, of course, Maxwell Smart and his sweetheart, Agent 99. And this gentleman here, the Red Batman, is from Singapore. It was a bootleg Batman, and they figured if they painted him red, they wouldn't get sued. And I guess they were right. So that was interesting there. Classic guys here. You like Kaiju. I'm sure you like Ultraman. This is the original Ultraman. I have the original Ultraman from the 60s, 70s. There he is in the middle. The original Ultraman. Ultra 7, which I also have on DVD, excellent. And the lesser-known Ultraman Ace. Not bad, but really not as cool as Ultraman. So, and of course, we're going to move up here, and you're going to see something shocking here. If I can get it up there. It's the Kiss action figures, yes. And it's the 70s Kiss action figure followed by the 90s Kiss action figures when they had their reunion. And also, I have more Mego action figures, but I haven't gotten them all out yet. But there you go. There's Batman and Shazam, or Captain Marvel. That's his real name. Shazam's just the magic word he uses. There's a Secret Agent G.I. Joe and some 007 action figures guarding all my spy movies. And guarding my westerns is the Lone Ranger and Tonto. Lone Ranger, here, have to get him out of here. There he is. It's the Lone Ranger there. Yeah, okay. Get back over there. Guard those westerns. All right, mostly spaghetti westerns because those are the best. So, anyway. got like 2 or 3 John Wayne movies, and I have the series Wanted Dead or Alive with Steve McQueen and The Wild Wild West. So how could you go wrong with that? But anyway, we're still talking about soundtracks, believe it or not. And so here we go with classic soundtracks. We'll use this as our backdrop. As you can see, that's my setup. I can use this also to burn DVDs. I mean, not DVDs. I can burn DVDs, but that's in my office where I do most of my Savage Film Group work. But right here, I can burn CDs from LPs. And you can see I have 2 classic turntables. One's a console, and the other one's a classic turntable. And as you notice, my groovy zebra stuff here. Yeah, nice. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some classic soundtrack albums, okay? So just hang on. Okay, right here we have the soundtrack to Live and Let Die. This is the original motion picture soundtrack, some music actually that's in the movie, including the James Bond theme and the title track with Paul McCartney and Wings singing the titles track, which is a classic album. And if you find it anywhere at flea markets, classic used record stores, you should get it. It's really good stuff. I'm not sure if it's available on CD, but it's really worth getting. It's terrific. And what's even cool, let me show you. I'm going to open it up. It's got pictures from the movies. And it's also got all the incidental music that's in the movie. But let me get that. Let's check this out. So as you can see, I just opened the album. And that's what's inside. It's got scenes from the movie. There's a really cool picture of Roger Moore, packing heat. It's a great stuff. Great stuff there. So what can I say? Okay, and this is our next one. This is music from The Spy Who Loved Me and other James Bond thrillers. This is actually an interpretation from the Film Festival Orchestra, not the original soundtrack, but nevertheless, very, very good. And I got it because it was a budget record that I picked up, believe it or not, at the late, great Kmart. That's right, Kmart used to sell albums, used to sell vinyl, and I for $1, I mean, how could you go wrong? I said, oh, I'll get this, and I don't regret it. It's a very it's got a good version. I think the girl who sings Nobody Does It Better has actually got a sexier voice than the original one. So, yeah, what can I say? So, overall, good album. If you can find this one, I'm sure this one will be cheaper than getting the Live and Let Die soundtrack simply because it's not an original soundtrack. Or it's cheaper than getting the Spy Who Loved Me soundtrack. Also, I think the artwork is better than the Spy Who Loved Me artwork for the poster. I think this artwork has more dynamic greatness, but that's just me. Okay, we have another great soundtrack album. This is James Bond double feature. It's from You Only Live Twice and Casino Royale. However, again, not the original soundtrack, but better because it's performed by Billy Strange, who used to call himself the world's fastest guitar. And he's actually a very good, he was a studio musician who put out many albums of instrumentals. And I highly recommend this also. Also has renditions of For a Few Dollars More and In Like Flint, which is another spy movie. So that's why I got this album. And again, didn't quite cost me $1. I'm looking at the, it's like close to $4, which wasn't bad for a classic album that is no longer in print. So I got a pretty good deal. This I got at a record store that had a lot of really, really cool stuff. So yes, let's go on to our next one. Okay, I don't know if I could consider this I guess it is a soundtrack album because it's got music directly from the James Bond movies. As you can as you can see in the corner, it's put out by United Artists. It's put out by the people who put out the James Bond movies at the time, and it's got directly has music from the Bond movies. I like the interesting title though, Music to Read James Bond by. So I guess if you're reading the James Bond books, you put this in the background so you could get that spy feel. You feel like you're in a real spy movie. So very groovy indeed and very hip. I also like the cover. This cover is awesome with gold the gold painted girl reading the books. I mean, that is just it's sexy and bizarre and has dynamic greatness all at the same time. I highly recommend if you ever find this. I heard about this album in the book Incredibly Strange Music, and ironically found it in a record store in Delaware of all places, which was strange because Delaware is one of the most boring places in the world. But if you go there, you will find um, this some great little hole in the wall places that are that Delaware is keeping secret from the rest of us. I guess they don't want anybody to know that they're not really that boring, that they're secretly interesting. Because when I found that music store, I was just, well, not music store, that record store, I was just blown away, and it was like hidden. So, but we found it by accident when we were visiting some people. So there you go. Okay, here's an unusual soundtrack album. I actually had to pay $20 for this one, but I really like the soundtrack. I like the song on there called "Secret Weapon." Well, it's actually called, on the movie. The title really is "Make Love a Secret Weapon," which is fantastic song. It kicks ass. This is performed by Candy Johnson. She's the girl in the red dress all the way to your right of the album. And she would dance in a very frantic, out of control way, which was terrific. As you can see, on your left is Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon. Annette is wearing a two-piece bathing suit, which I heard outraged the late, not so great Walt Disney. I mean, well, he's greater than the guy who's running the company now, but he was a bit of a prude. It's hilarious that he thought that that two-piece bikini, which is not as revealing as what they're wearing now, was offensive. Can you imagine how he would freak out if he saw what his company has become? That's run by a bunch of degenerates? Oh my God. But anyway, yeah, he was the exact polar opposite. He was too much of a prude and uptight, and now his company's gone 180 degrees in the other direction of being a bunch of degenerates. We went from being uptight church dude, well, he wasn't even a church dude, but he was just uptight, to being degenerate. I mean, can we please go back to the middle, please? Please. Let's do that. Anyway, let's talk about the music. The music here is great, and it is from the movie. However, it doesn't sound exactly like the movie, and I heard that for some legal reasons or whatever, Candy Johnson re-recorded the music from the movie in a studio, in a recording studio. I don't know why. I'm sure it was recorded in a movie studio to begin with, but there you go. So that was very strange. But it is the songs from the movie, but they've been re-recorded because they don't sound exactly like the ones in the movie. But it's the same voice, the same person singing. I just don't get it. Hollywood and does a lot of weird things. Well, this was an independent film. This is American International. So I don't know. I don't know what the legal stuff was all about. But there you go. Here is the soundtrack to one of my favorite vampire movies, Blackula. It is a relic of, well, I don't want to call it a relic. It is a treasure of the 70s. It has very groovy fashion, very groovy clothes. Well, groovy fashion, groovy clothes, same thing. And a groovy soundtrack. Very jazzy. The opening theme to this movie, when the credits go up, is excellent. It's very jazzy and has some great funky wah-wah guitar. So I would say it's jazz and funk. Very good. And it's composed by Gene Page, who did a lot of soundtracks in his time also. And I highly recommend this if you can find it out in the wild. It's a great, Great. I got this at a horror convention, of course. And Blackula itself is a great movie. There were the great William Marshall played it. Great character actor. He's played lots of stuff. He's been in classic TV shows. He's been on The Man from U.N.C.L.E. He's been in the classic original series of Star Trek. He's also in Wild Wild West. I saw an episode recently. My wife and I were watching Wild Wild West, and I said, damn, it's William Marshall. He's also in the movie called Abby, which is the black version of The Exorcist, which, by the way, is better than the original Exorcist. It's got cooler monsters in it. It's much more fun. It's not so isolated in the house. Abby gets out on the street and causes trouble, and William Marshall plays one hell of an exorcist. So what can I say? He's a college professor and a scholar who takes on this evil demon. So yeah, and like I said, he's done a lot of great work. A lot of great work. A Shakespearean actor, also played Othello, and very excellent baritone voice. So anyway, the soundtrack to Blackula, if you can find it in a while, I would say go get it. It's really worth it. It's a great soundtrack. I even transferred it to CD, and I play it in my car sometimes. So when I want to feel that I've taken a trip back into the horror twilight zone of the 70s. Yeah. Okay, this is the most unusual soundtrack in my collection. The soundtrack to Deep Throat, one of the most popular and controversial adult motion pictures of all time. And of course, it features the great late Linda Lovelace in her first major role in an adult film. You know, this movie was the first time this created a thing called porno chick, where couples went to see triple X rated movies together. And I guess they would come home horny and romance would ensue. You know. Anyway, this movie's also a comedy, so it's a very funny movie. The soundtrack is very kooky. It features some synthesizer sounds and everything. My favorite, and by the way, it also features sound bites from the movie, and so you get, you know, which is hilarious. Especially if you've seen the movie, you know which scenes they're from, and you go, okay. So this movie was not just what they got, the crap they got on the internet, like places like Pornhub and everything. No, it's not like that. Had a real plot, attempted acting. The only person that can act in this movie, Linda can act in this movie. She's not too bad. She's adequate. The best actor in the movie is Harry Reams, who plays Dr. Young. He is hilariously funny, but that's because he was actually a trained actor who was trying to get legitimate roles. And of course, you know how it is in Hollywood. It's who you know or who you blow, or you have to be a Nepo baby, you know, nepotism. That's pretty much how it goes in Hollywood. So Harry Reams, an ex-Marine. That's right. He was a tough, real-life tough guy, ended up making adult movies. He did appear in a few exploitation films and a few horror movies as well. But this is his most famous role as Dr. Young. Now, I'm going to tell you some of the comedy in there because I think it's on the album. They do have, like I said, some dialogue from the film as well. My favorite song, they actually got a song on here in the background while a gentleman is pleasuring a woman with his the same thing Gene Simmons Gene Simmons has a big tongue. This guy has a big tongue too, so you can imagine what he's doing with that. Anyway, during that scene, there's a song in the background called Bubbles, and it is a pretty rockin' song. I really like it. It's very jazzy. It's got some horns in it and some guitar, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. You know, great song. It's my favorite thing on the album. It's the one I play a lot. You know, when I want to play the soundtrack to Deep Throat, I play that song Bubbles. And everybody agrees. Everybody who saw the movie, I used to manage a video store in the early 80s, and people say, hey, this is the classic Deep Throat. I said, yeah, you should check it out. And they check it out, and they always tell me how much they like that song Bubbles, because it's just... Yes, it's hard to believe people would pay attention to the soundtrack of a naughty movie, but there you go. And as a bonus, I'm going to tell you one thing I don't like about this album. There is no playlist on it. There's no. It doesn't tell you what's on side A and what's side B. I mean, you can see the lines there, and I know that Bubbles is the second track on the first side. But other than that, it's like it's incidental music, and it's like I said, it's also, which is good incidental music, but it's also like the sound bites from the movie, which some soundtracks do that to make the soundtrack album more interesting. Yeah, so yeah, if you look on the back, there's no, or on the label, there is no listing of the soundtracks. I find that annoying as hell. Now I'm going to do a little bit of little joke from Deep Throat that's hilarious. The plot is that Linda Lovelace is having trouble getting orgasms. And by the way, she's playing herself in the movie. She's Linda Lovelace in the film. She goes to Dr. Young. Dr. Young discovers that she's got the clitoris in her throat, not where it's supposed to be. And so she starts crying, and he says, well, having a clitoris in your throat is better than not having one at all. And she says, that's easy for you to say. How would you like it if your balls were in your ears? How would you like it if your balls were in your ears? And he says, well, then I could hear myself coming. Okay, well, I thought the joke was funny, okay? Anyway, now, two more things, and I'm done. I almost feel like I'm in Columbo here. Just one more thing. Okay, this is what you've been waiting for, right? That is retro listening. Yeah, retro listening. This is that's what it is. It's retro listening, but if you look closely, it says Savage Sounds. That's right. It's music from the Savage Film Group. It's all the soundtrack albums that were done by my buddy, the late great Marvin Kennedy, for all of our music from, I believe, from 2000 to 2012, I believe, yeah. And so, very cool. So, yeah, so it's 12 years of great music. The theme songs for all the heroes, for Harry Gross, Maud Mutilator, Rex Jones. Also, in between the tracks, we have sound bites from the movie. So that's an extra bonus. And by the way, it is available at my website, www.savagefilmgroup.com. So if you're interested, go ahead and buy it there, and you'll really dig it. You can play it's on, like I said, we have it on CD because I am dedicated to physical media, and I think it'll be cool. You can play it in your CD player in your car. If you don't have a CD player in your car, you can easily get one. I went to O'Reilly's; they sell those. Get a CD player in your vehicle. Support physical media. Don't pay monthly fees. That's a ripoff. Paying monthly to listen to music? You got to be kidding me. Nah, not at all. Okay, now let me quickly. I'm going to remove my CD here. Oh, by the way, check this out. It's ultra cool. This is the kind of, yeah, it looks like a classic album there. But here, I want you to take a look at this. Okay, this is the soundtrack. Okay, sorry, let's start that again. This is the soundtrack to Mummy of Gorgor. It's on cassette. Now, I'm not selling the cassette because not many people want to buy cassettes anymore. If you're one of the people that do, let me know. Actually, I think I do have cassettes available of my other stuff. But anyway, I don't have this available yet because I am going to transfer the soundtrack to Mummy of Gorgor on CD. So it will be available on CD, and you can dig it there, I tell you. And I'll make the announcement when it's finally available at www.savagefilmgroup.com. However, remember, you can get Savage Sounds. So definitely check that out. Definitely. So there you go. Like I said, my buddy Marvin Kennedy, great musician, been in 12 different bands, including one called Dominant Life Force. no, Dominant Life Form, which was pretty cool. And my buddy Rob, who did the soundtrack for Mummy of Gorgor, excellent, very good. He was in the band Psychodrama, really twisted band, really cool stuff. Anyway, that pretty much wraps it up for this. Also, please check out Vampstar at their website. I will leave a link below. A great band. You should support independent artists and outsider artists. And they produce some really good music with a very 70s vibes to it. And it'll make you feel like you're watching a classic drive-in movie or a classic grindhouse movie, whichever you had available back when. Or for our younger Gen Zers who are into the retro scene and never been able to be at a grindhouse movie or a drive-in movie, you should check out the soundtracks. It'll make you feel like you're in one, you know? And of course, check out our movies too. Anyway, that's all for now. So I'm going to be signing off. I want everybody to stay groovy and keep watching B movies. Keep watching those B movies, underground movies, grindhouse movies, drive-in movies, whatever you want to call it. Back in the 80s, they were called psychotronic movies. So check out our website at www.savagefilmgroup.com. Check out my buddy R. Sterling with Vampstar. Like I said, going to leave a link below. And like I said, support independent cinema and stay groovy.